the combine itself is an interesting experience. We saw a lot of kids do some big-time things. We had the fastest combine ever, right? We talked about that a little bit before the show came on, which is kind of crazy because I sit there and I go, it didn't feel like the fastest ever. It didn't feel like we had a ton of 4.2s and stuff like that. But at the same time, and I think you heard me say this, and I think your mind's kind of in the right place here as well, these kids have become so good, and the training has become so good at the 40 and everything about it, that running 4.47 and now is almost like, oh, okay, big deal. No big deal. Oh, 4.47. They've got it down to a science, the training. If you got just, a certain amount of athletic ability and explosion about you and your physical makeup, we're seeing more times than not with the right diet, the right training, the right trainer to teach you the tricks of the race, that we can see certain position groups where at certain points during the day last week, DBs, receivers, it was just like, oh, Rich Eisen, it was like 4.47. Oh, yeah, big deal. Oh, 4.45. Oh, big deal. 4.48. Big deal. And, that's where we are. So it's funny that it's the fastest ever, but it didn't really feel like that to me sitting back and watching it for most of the weekend.
Yeah, because what happens is when the football season ends for the guys who are heading to the draft, they immediately go to a facility where all they focus on is the combine events. They're being trained to go to Indianapolis or their pro day where it's the same thing. It's just in a more favorable setting, sometimes on a faster track, and the scouts will adjust the measured times accordingly. The time may look good when it shows up on your phone, but the scouts know when to add a 0.05 or even a 0.1 to a guy's speed on a faster surface at his preferred location for his pro day. But it's all about getting yourself ready for the combine events, for the pro day workouts, and then you start hopscotching for the best prospects all across the country for the visits where every team can bring in up to 30 guys. And then there's a concern that you get a bunch of guys who, after the draft, when you show up for the rookie minicamp, they're kind of out of shape because they went straight from football season to combine prep season to let's go do all these face-to-face job interviews and not get the kind of exercise we ordinarily do season to, all right, now we're going to have NFL practice and you're going to have guys who are puking on their shoes.
Definitely. Yeah, well, you see that because it gets to that. They worked so hard. There was no offseason and went college to training, just as you explained. It goes to the combine. Combine's over. Keep getting ready because you're going to have a pro day in the next 3 to 4 weeks at some point. Keep getting ready there. That gets over. You could take a deep breath and go, oh, okay. Wait, I don't have to grind and work out every day, which shouldn't be the case. But you're exactly right, because now you go visit everybody and you take 20 to 30 days off, and then all of a sudden you get drafted, and then that team's like, hey, we'll see you here in 2 days. And some of those teams have a rookie mini camp or something within the first 5 days after the draft at times in that first week, if not an OTAs following up. And with what you're saying, too, that's why we see it feels like every year we have a few people, a few rookies who go to OTAs and they have to be held out because they had tightness in their hamstring or tightness in their quad or something like that, because to you and everything you're saying, they trained really hard to get ready for the draft and everything there, but then took a little break, and now it's like, hey, wait. You wouldn't have taken a break if you were in college and we were getting ready to practice, or if you were in the NFL. We were sitting here training, getting ready for OTAs, and they have to kind of gear themselves up and get going. And that's going to be one of the tricks of the trade. Stay in shape during the visits. Don't let off. That's going to be one of the tricks for your NFL career. You can't really ever let off. A week here, a few days here. But, man, if you think you're going to make it in the NFL and just have periods of time where you're going to be like, I'm not doing anything for 6 or 7 weeks. No, well, your career's not going to last as long as it should, if that's the case. And hopefully these are lessons these guys can learn as they go forward here.
The one example that always comes to mind when I think about that, showing up for your first rookie practice and you're not in ideal shape, the late Joe McKnight, 2010, when he showed up for the Jets, and I found the story, throwing up on the field, calves cramped, struggled through the first 2 days. He just wasn't in the kind of condition he needed to be in because they don't have a break-in period. They throw you into it, and they expect you to go out and perform. And I also think some of the coaches get a kick out of guys getting that rude awakening. To your point,
yes.
You can't let yourself ever slip out of shape. This
Right.
isn't like the 70s where guys went home after the last game, worked other jobs, and then showed up after chain-smoking Marlboros and drinking booze for 6 months, and they needed an extra long training camp and an extra long preseason to get themselves in shape for the first game. And, even if the rash of impressive 40 times is the result of guys getting the right training, paying for it, learning every little thing to carve 100th here and 100th there and 100th there.
Right.
The correlation is, if you look at it as very task and goal oriented, he had something that he was trying to do. He figured out how to do it. He did all the things necessary to get to the desired outcome, and he succeeded.
Yes.
And that's transferable.
That's
I remember
exactly
when
right.
they used to do the Wonderlic test, and there were certain agents who knew certain executives who would allow them to get their hands on the 6 different versions of the Wonderlic test, and the agents would give those to their players so they'd be ready for the Wonderlic test. And it was like, oh, can you believe this is happening? And I had somebody with a team say, hey, if a player can take 6 versions of this test and show up and answer all the questions as to one of the 6 versions, he can learn a playbook. That's good enough for me.
That's right. That's life right there. Exactly right. That's all they want to see. And then you're obviously putting in the work behind the scene. That's part of the whole litmus test of what you're talking about here. So those are all positives for the NFL and how they view that. And you're right, the combine and everything we've talked about, yes, it's also part of that conversation. Let's see how ready he is for this moment. How important is it to him? How is he prepared mentally with questions at the board? Is he able to handle that? But then, of course, the physical aspect and everything that goes along with the workout and everything there. And, we're seeing really, in my time just working with you in the last 7 years, I feel like we've seen a transition of these kids getting better and better at all of this stuff. We talked about on Friday or Thursday how the kids are just more wide open. And, there was a time 3 or 4 years ago where they were guarded and it was just going to be yes, sir. And we're going to barely answer the question and not say anything so nothing else can be, expanded on. And they've grown in that department too, with their ability to show personality and still say the right thing and not say anything controversial. So impressive. And, of course, the combine itself was impressive, and there was a lot of guys that were impressive. We saw all the DNs. They were impressive in person. I still think that ultimately they were the stars of the show the weekend. And the front 7, I think, will continue to be the most talked about thing in this draft. So that's cool. I mean, we got all these guys. Of course, we got, the Ohio State crew right here to lead it. We got the story of the Styles family, Sonny Styles and Lorenzo Styles, holy freak of nature brothers. We had that. That was incredible. Jeremiah Love showing that he's a freak of nature and that he's worthy of being one of the top picks in the draft at the running back position. We had Ty Simpson look really good. Damn, Taylon Green from Arkansas did things that we've seen DK Metcalf and Megatron do at the damn combine, playing quarterback. So that was incredible to see as well. There was a lot of good stuff. There really was, and I think we got a lot of talking points and things to talk about here, not only now, but for the next few weeks when it pertains to the draft.
Damn. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.